The world of high ticket sales has completely changed, and if you don't learn and implement what I'm going to share with you today, you will absolutely be left behind. You will be speaking to prospects and you'll be getting no after no after no and wondering why. And that's if you even get calls booked on your calendar. For most of you right now, I imagine there's an element of you're even struggling to get people booking calls on your calendar, let alone speaking to a prospect and getting a no. It's because you're not staying up to date with what's working right now, and the industry is moving on at a rapid rate. If you are selling courses, coaching, services, or consulting, you need this video. I have generated over $40 million in high ticket sales online, and I'm doing things now so different to how we used to do it. There are two things I'm going to share with you in today's video. Thing number one is the old model, the model that most people are still using. Most of the marketing gurus online are still peddling this, and it no longer works, and you must pivot. The second thing I'm going to share with you is the new model. What is the answer? What is the pivot? And how can we start getting some results back like we used to do in 2019 when online high ticket sales was easy? So strap in, let's get into it. So let's start with the old model. The old model is that you would run some ads or you would produce some content and you would send that into some sort of funnel that's going to produce the opportunity from all of that traffic, right? This is getting you eyeballs. This is the content that I'm producing right now. These are the ads that you're running. And a really popular strategy, although not popular with me so much, is a VSL. This stands for a video sales letter. The idea is that you drive your traffic to a page where they opt in to have the luxury of watching a video on the next page that might be 5, might be 10, might be 15 minutes, and then you move them on to the next call to action. I've never really been a fan of the VSL, nor have I really ever gotten results with a VSL. We've tested it a few times. For me, nothing beats a webinar. So in this case, I would be driving all of my traffic to a webinar funnel where I deliver a webinar presentation. I find you have then more luxury of time to connect with the audience. You can do these live or automated, but then I'm able to actually teach. And that works with me and my model. I like the idea of providing value inside a funnel before I move them to the call to action. So in this instance, we're using a webinar, and then of course, we're moving them through to a sales call. And the typical old model was that at the end of the presentation, you would say, if you like the content, click the button that's in the chat or below the video, and you can book a call on my calendar, and we'll have a strategy session is quite common. Or you might just say, we'll have a conversation to see if we're a fit and whether we can help you to implement the stuff we spoke about on the webinar or in the VSL. And then on that conversation, you are endeavoring to sell an evergreen program. This is what most people do, meaning that you have a course, a coaching, a service that is open all the time. You try to create some exclusivity, but at its core, you can accept a client any day of the month, any month of the year. It's an evergreen, open enrollment. Now, this was the old model. Let's talk about some of the problems that have been emerging. I would say cracks emerging, but actually they're gaping holes at this point, and they're struggling to make this work. And then I'm going to tell you the fix. I'm going to share with you the new model. Okay, ads, content, still working. Needs some tweaks. Need to make sure you're staying ahead of the game. Need to make sure you've got good hooks, good angles, good content, but that hasn't really changed. Next step, we still need a funnel. I still find webinars are the best, so no change there really. In fact, one thing I would argue for is that if you're using a VSL or something like that and it's struggling, it's not getting you the results that you wanted, then what you might need to do is upgrade to the webinar. Now, I'm already using webinars, my clients are already using webinars, so we're kind of keeping that the same as it is. The thing that needs to change is the last part of the webinar presentation when we invite them to book the sales call. This is the part that is really struggling. Let me explain. Booking a sales call on your calendar used to be sexy for the prospect. Back when this was new, when it was exciting, a prospect would be on your webinar, they would get to the end, you would offer them a chance to get on your calendar, and it would feel exciting. I get to jump on the calendar and speak to the person that I've just been watching this webinar from. It feels like they get to speak to a mini celebrity. They're a little bit starstruck. It feels awesome. We are now no longer in 2019. The good days for that have gone. We're in a spot right now where this is so frequent and so overused that we're going backwards. Prospects hear the invitation to book a call and they smell a sales conversation. They know what's coming. They're apprehensive to book the call. So what's happening is call booking rates are going down. And people are not booking at the same rate as they used to before, which means your marketing expense is increasing to get a booked call because you're spending the same amount on marketing and getting less calls booked. Furthermore, those people are jumping on the call with you and they've got their arms folded like this. They're not engaging with you. They're ready for battle. They're ready for a sales conversation. And they're not engaging with you in the right way. So the way in which we're offering a sales call is a big problem and needs changing. And it does change because I'm going to give you the answer in just a moment. The final thing is this here, evergreen programs. This is not working like it used to work. We need to have a way to create some urgency, but ethical urgency that builds demand towards a moment when we open up enrollment. What I've been doing for this is something called a micro launch, and it is insanely powerful. Now, we're not going to talk about this in today's video because the video that I shot last week and uploaded on the channel, I go deep into this. So go and check that one out, and I'll also link you to it at the very end of the video today. So what we're going to focus on is this side of the line, the sales conversation. I have replaced the sales call with, and this is the new model. And don't forget, ads and content hasn't really changed. The webinar funnel for the most part hasn't really changed. And over here, I'm solving that problem for you at the video that I uploaded last week. So this is the problem that we're now tackling and need to solve. So I have replaced the sales conversation with what I call the application call. So instead of them just booking a sales call and not really knowing how the conversation is going to go, knowing it's probably a sales call but feeling apprehensive, instead, here's what I do. At the end of the webinar, instead of just inviting them to book a call, I tell them about my program. I actually start to sell them on why they would want it, why it's awesome. Rather than keeping it a mystery and they're only going to speak about it on the sales call, I say, hey, if you've enjoyed the content of the presentation, then I've got an incredible coaching program called Momentum. Here's a little bit about what it is. Here's what it will do for you. Here's who it's for. Here's what you get. Here's why it's so awesome. So by doing that, I'm building the intrigue in their mind. And if they were to book a call with me, they now know what we're going to be talking about. They've already started to decide, that sounds really good. I think I might want that. That sounds really intriguing. I've got some desire for that, which is already getting me closer to the outcome that I'm wanting, which is a high volume of high quality calls booked. Then I say, if you're interested in the program I've just described, I take on a few clients every so often, and you can apply for a spot in the program. Here's how the application process looks. And then I further describe what's going to happen in the process that they're about to book into. This makes them feel comfortable. It makes them understand what's about to happen, so there's less feeling apprehensive. So I explain that when they apply, they'll answer a few questions on the next page. And after they answer those questions, then there'll be a calendar where they can book a call and they'll chat to me or a member of my team. And we'll go through their questions, we'll get to know each other, and we'll see if Momentum is a good fit. Then what we also do is we qualify them for the program. And by the way, we really do this, and I suggest you do the same. We do not just accept everyone with a credit card and a pulse. That's bad business. That's going to lead to disappointment on both sides, and it's going to catch up with you if you're doing business like that. If you're just money hungry and you don't care about the client, it will catch up with you. There's got to be some kind of qualification in the process. So what we do is we qualify based on the person. Are they a decent human being? Would we actually enjoy hanging out with them? Would I go for a drink with this person? Those are the types of clients that I like. So do they pass the they're a decent human being test? Then it's qualify on their business. Do we understand their business, their offer, their industry? Could we see us helping them and getting results because we understand what they're doing? And then the third qualifier is their goals. What do they want to achieve? Where are they trying to go? Have we been there before? And do we have a track record being able to help people to do that path? And then they might qualify for that as well. So we explain that. You're going to apply. It's a low pressure conversation because you may not even qualify, and we'll both have a chance to go away and have a think about this, and we can come back and reconvene if it's a good fit. Now you might say, John, that just sounds too relaxed, and surely you lose sales because of that. Surely conversions are down. It's actually the complete opposite, and you've got to understand this. When you're doing sales calls in a way that's really coming on quite strong, quite aggressive, flipping open the sales handbook and trying to say all the right things to counter what they've said, that's where you just box people into a corner and they don't feel comfortable with you. When you do something like this and you make people feel comfortable in the sales process, you actually find their guard comes down and conversion rates do the complete opposite. They skyrocket. At least that's what it's done for me and also my clients. Now, what's amazing about this is when we did the old model, we would find that we would get about a 10% of people that attend the webinar to book a call. And that was considered good in the industry. That has started to drop for a lot of people. Some people are experiencing that down at 5%, and it's really difficult to make your marketing costs work at that level. What we have found since doing the application call invitation is that we now get up to 25% of people booking calls, and it is the same audience, same offer, just a different frame for the invitation and then a different sales process, and we're getting a massive uplift in people booking calls. Furthermore, I would argue they're even more qualified because they now know a bit about the offer and some demand has already been built for it before they're even invited in, and we have that conversation. This is fixing the old model. This is the new model. And of course, you now need to fix this final piece to make sure that your offer is positioned correctly to have insane conversion rates and attracting dream clients. And I cover that in the video that I uploaded last week, which is positioned for you right here. So continue on to part 2 right now. Check out this video and I hope you enjoy it, and I'll see you in the next video.